Okay, Dee Dee, I've got your work up here, and I think it's looking great. I do. This is just such a cool idea. And you know what? I've got a couple of recommendations. Let's start with the type itself. Okay, let's take a look at the actual mechanics of the typography. I never did calligraphy, ellipsis. Then there's a capital. Should that be a capital or should that be a small? I mean, it's a continuation of an idea. So shouldn't that be a small b? And then the only other comment I have is I think that the type is set very nicely. I think your nice left alignment. I think that your right aligned rags are good, but we're going to change the cadence of the quote itself. So that will help. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. The way that this reads, it says, okay, so I never did calligraphy, ellipsis, but handwriting is an extremely different kind of, and then there's a break because there's always a natural break at the end of any line of text. And that natural break occurs because the eye takes just a moment in time to go from the end of that paragraph, the end of that line to the beginning of that line. So you should always understand and keep in mind that there's always going to be a break at the end of the sentence. You can use that to your advantage in your cadence of the type when you set your typography. Let me explain. I never did typography, okay, but handwriting is a completely different kind of thing. End of line, new line. It's part of the syndrome of modernism, ellipsis. It's part of that asceticism, period. Okay, so this should be on this line up here. The word thing should be up here. This should start here. It should start the new line, which means you're going to have to recompose a little bit, but that's okay because I have some suggestions here as well. The piece is begging. I mean, begging for color. Take some cues from, and I think this area right here is begging for color actually, because in the illuminated manuscripts, you always had color, never black on white or white on black. I shouldn't say that. That's not true. That's misleading. They did use black on white, but it wouldn't be considered an illuminated manuscript. It would be considered an illustrative manuscript. Okay, so I think this is begging for color. Also, I think the way this is set up is it almost looks like it's two different things, as opposed to being incorporated in your spread. Let's take a look at okay, you got your 12 by 6. That's 12 by 9. That's good. That's cool. So your center line would be right here. Okay, now we can see that your type might be a little bit too big because you're crossing the center line with your type right there. The other thing I would like you to do is think about this. Instead of, see how this looks like completely two different things. It doesn't look like the spread is working in concert with each page. It looks like it's just one page, then the next page. And if you look at those illuminated manuscripts, especially the examples in the book, you'll see this. I would take your type and I would set it up right somewhere right here. Maybe even over a little bit in the composition. Set your type like that. Then take this illuminated this whole illustration here, reduce the size and try to make it climb up the page, the letter over, and to have the filigree cross the page like that. And I think that will really incorporate this whole idea of the illuminated manuscript with, the contrast between modernism, Paul Rand, and the simplicity of modern design. So I think it should be all incorporated as opposed to having this idea on this page and this idea on this page. Okay, and for an example, go ahead and take a look at that book. And the book's got some wonderful pages, the Bastarda, and I think a couple of those pages around there, you can get some really great ideas. Okay, hopefully my comments make sense. And again, I'm just begging for color, this page is. I would say white background, maybe pull some colors get some examples from where we looked in the book. Those examples that I looked at in your first post. Okay, and then think about coloring this through white background, and then think about pulling a color from the colors you choose for the illustration for your type. All right, awesome job. Looking forward to seeing final. Thanks. Any questions, give me a holler. Thanks.